Okay, let's see. Do 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 do. La 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 la. I don't care anymore. All right. The NES is a really special console to me. It was my introduction into video games in general. And for the past few months, I wanted to go back and play some retro style games that harken back to a time when video games were in their purest form. For me, that would be the NES, even though they were clunky sometimes, even though they were extremely difficult back then, there's something charming about how simplistic they were. They weren't made out of greed, they weren't trying to be psychologically manipulative, they weren't trying to get you with microtransactions and all that. They were just video games. Nothing more, nothing less. That's why I went out and searched for as many indie games as I could that invoked that 8-bit retro simplicity that the games of my childhood did. So without further ado, let's jump right in and talk about some of the best 8-bit inspired indie games I've been playing lately. The first thing that got my attention with 8-bit adventure was this. Look at this. The chunky pixels, the color palette, the blue UI and dialogue boxes. Even all the little selection sound effects, it all invokes this old school top-down Final Fantasy vibe. My first introduction to JRPGs was with Final Fantasy IX, and I think if you ask anybody what their favorite Final Fantasy game is, their answer is always going to be Final Fantasy. Damn it. Their answer is always going to be the final motherfucker. And I think if you ask anybody what their favorite Final Fantasy game is, their answer is going to be the first Final Fantasy game they played. And then they just played the series moving forward. But for me, instead of moving forward in the series, I actually went back and started playing from the beginning. I didn't end up becoming a hardcore Final Fantasy fan until I played Dawn of Souls for the Game Boy Advance, FF1 and FF2. There was something about traveling in between towns, talking to NPCs, exploring caves, traveling by ship, all from the expanded view of a top-down perspective. But that's all surface level stuff. What makes 8-bit Adventures 2 so fantastic is just how modern it feels to play. For one, there's no random encounters, there's no tedious grinding, you can save wherever you want. The battle system is easy to read, easy to learn, while maintaining depth and strategy, which is incredibly addictive, by the way. I love how you don't just lean into the, oh, here you go, just wail on the enemy while having a healer and buffs every turn. No, you're really forced to engage with the battle system and how your different party members play off of each other. They all have their own specific skills and abilities and everything. And because there's no random encounters, the battle system doesn't get exhausting by the end like other old school JRPGs. Which is saying something, considering this is a 30+ hour game. It basically takes Chrono Trigger, It basically takes the Chrono Trigger approach when it comes to pacing, and when it comes to story, this is where 8-bit Adventures 2 absolutely shines. The fact they could take 8-bit sprites without any type of voice acting whatsoever and make them this expressive, that's an achievement. All the main characters are memorable, none of the town NPCs feel like filler wild goose chases. All the major story beats, they know how to build at just the right pace to keep you invested without becoming too predictive. And it's extremely deep and emotional too. If I had to make a comparison, I'd say, and I don't want to spoil anything, I would say it's like Final Fantasy IV on steroids. Not to say it takes itself too seriously at all times, there's plenty of funny, lighthearted moments, but overall the journey is something that grabs you by the heart. With some of the best chiptunes I've heard in a game. Seriously, just listen to this. This is exactly the stuff I'm talking about when I think of a small indie game that just feels high production. It's not always about graphics. Look, Expedition 33, it looks damn good. But outside of X33, man, 8-bit Adventures 2, it just surprised me. Like, dude, why are we getting so many great JRPGs? Another game I've been enjoying is Alwas Awakening, a pretty challenging Metroidvania game, and while I was playing, I was really surprised by how authentic it looked. Like something you would actually have seen on the NES. So much so that I went looking for more information on the internet and I found out something that was really damn cool. So Alwas Awakening is an NES game. As in, you can play this indie game on actual hardware. That blew my mind, especially considering I just found out about homebrew games that can be played on the NES. So there's this regular PC version, that's the one I got, and then there's another version. You know, I'm not gonna play it, I have a Steam Deck, but I think it's so cool that there's an NES ROM of this game that you can play on an emulator or on real hardware. There's also an EverDrive cartridge that comes bundled with another game I've been playing called Cathedral, and both of these games feel so nostalgic to play. I probably won't play them on an emulator since I can just load them straight up on Steam, but this is one of the reasons why I want to get a CRT TV, because it's been way too long since I've played on one. I need to check and see if 8-Bit Do has an NES controller because man, it would be so awesome to play these games with it. Now Cathedral, it's basically the same type of game, it's a Metroidvania, and this game is like a mix between Igavania and Ghost of Goblins. Motherfucker. Ghost and Goblins. Which, I mean, you can just straight up look at this and see the inspiration off rip. This game is the main reason I'm not too far in Alwas Awakening right now because I've been having a hell of a time playing Cathedral. Also, Pogo Combat, which instantly makes any 2D action-adventure game better. We had it in Shovel Knight, we had it in Hollow Knight. When you add Pogo Combat, it automatically catches my attention. They should have called this game Cathedral Knight because, you know, the DuckTales inspiration that all these games had. It should really be a subgenre of indie games. Both Alwas Awakening and Cathedral are perfect if you want to experience modern NES games that don't just use graphics as an aesthetic. No stupid bloom effects or anything like that. Just authentic retro feel. That's why I have so much respect for both of these games. Okay, now, Astalon Tears of the Earth kind of scared me in the beginning because I thought it was a roguelite. And listen, I don't hate all roguelites, but over the years, especially when it comes to indie games, it's kind of like the Souls genre, I've been having a bit of burnout. That's why as soon as I died and I got sent to the screen where you're basically making a deal with the devil to go back to the mortal plane and start over, I had to look into it because it didn't say anything on Steam about being a roguelite, but thankfully it's not one. It's more of a Metroidvania dungeon crawling RPG game. You get to play as 3 different characters, a knight, a wizard, and an archer, and you can use their specific abilities to solve puzzles and make your way through. It's really different from other Metroidvanias I've played, because instead of exclusively finding abilities throughout the world to let you access one certain choke point of the map like in other Metroidvanias, you actually find different colored keys and you choose which areas you want to access instead. So it really has this non-linear feel to it. Now this is another game I haven't played all the way through yet. That's why I make these big lists in the first place, you know, instead of reviewing games one by one. I'm hoping you look into these games for yourself and see whether or not they're worth your money. But I do try to look at Steam reviews, you know, I don't just pick any damn game, you know, I'm looking for the absolute cream of the crop. So even though I'm not even at the halfway mark of this game, it does have a 92% very positive rating on Steam. And I've been enjoying it so far. So yeah, I know I'm bloating this segment of the video, but I think it's important to be honest. I feel like a lot of other YouTubers, you know, they just glaze a bunch of game and, you know, they know they didn't play them all. And that's something I don't want to do with my content. So Astalon, Tears of the Earth, like, check it out, man. If it looks like something you'd be interested in. There are so many different indie games I've been playing. And what I do is I look for indie games that have a specific style instead of one particular genre. It's more like games I would play during each console generation. That's why you've seen me make videos like Nintendo 64 style indie games, 6th gen indie games that feel like PS2, GameCube, and Xbox, games with PS1 and Sega Saturn graphics. And I'm gonna keep doing that until I hit like every single console generation inspired indie games list. And that's why I made this list. I wanted to make a collection of games that bring me back to the days of playing the NES. Duck Hunt, Castlevania, Super Mario Bros. And all them. That's why I'm playing Cyber Shadow, a game that really reminds me of Ninja Gaiden back in the day. And yes, it's been kicking my ass just like Ninja Gaiden did back then, but at least it's not as punishing as Ninja Gaiden was. I've also been playing Infernax, which, holy crap, this game is outstanding. It's got tons of blood and gore and boss fights galore. And the soundtrack, dude, it's like if you hired Mick Gordon and had him make chiptune music. I don't know how they did it, but they made this game's music sound metal as hell. This is a game I would absolutely recommend to anyone, because just like 8-Bit Adventures 2, how I said it's not about the graphics, it's about the presentation, yeah, this definitely feels high production. We got Mighty Gunvolt Burst, a game that I've never played, but I never tried it, right? The motherfucker, oh my god. This happens to me every time I read a script, But dude, everybody calls me AI. They're like, oh dude, your voice sounds text to speech and shit. But they don't know I'm making a script and reading off this. So yeah, I'm not a professional actor. You just don't see me mess up all the time because I'm cutting this out in post. I'm cutting this out when I edit my videos. Anyways, Mighty Gunvolt was a game that I just never played. I slept on it because the reviews that I've seen from the other people, they said it was a tech demo, but the game they were referring to was just called Mighty Gunvolt, not Mighty Gunvolt Burst. This game is the one you want to check out, not the tech demo of Mighty Number 9 or whatever it was that other people were saying. If you're a Mega Man fan, really, the entire Gunvolt series is fantastic. I've been playing Blaster Master Zero. This is another game that I slept on for a while. I had no idea it was an entire trilogy. And the reason I wanted to get into this series is because just like Gunvolt, this was the studio that made Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, which I'm sure everyone knows how damn good Bloodstained series is. The Bloodstained series is. Holy crap, we might not have Castlevania anymore, but as long as the Bloodstained series keeps on moving forward, I really could care less. I can't wait for the new Bloodstained game to come out, and if you haven't yet, just check out all of them. They're all amazing. You probably already have if you're a Castlevania fan. But I just wanted to mention that. Whether it's Gunvolt, Bloodstained, or Blaster Master, NT Creates, they're absolute goats when it comes to capturing that 8-bit retro feel. There's so many different indie games that I've been playing each month. What? Wait. I literally copied and pasted this entire segment twice. Hold on, let me scroll down. Okay, here we go. Obviously, this wouldn't be an 8-bit indie showcase if I didn't at least mention Shovel Knight and Axiom Verge. Shovel Knight actually has a DX version coming out, and get this, it's gonna add 20 new playable characters. I swear, man, I started playing Shovel Knight back on the 3DS, and it is just insane how much support Yacht Club has given this game over the years. This is one of my favorite games of all time, and I know this because I bought it several times over the years. The 3DS, the Nintendo Switch, the Steam Deck, I think I might even have a copy of this game I bought on Xbox, and I usually never double dip. Shovel Knight is just a game that has followed me for a long time now. And then there's Axiom Verge, which I really want to say Shovel Knight and Axiom Verge, they really kicked it off for me when it comes to reigniting my passion for indie games. Because, you know, back then going to the library, playing Newgrounds, you know, Xbox Live Arcade, like that was really the last time I was super hardcore when it comes to indie games. And when I played Axiom Verge for the first time, not the second game, I really didn't like the sequel that much. But anyways, when I played Axiom Verge, that was my realization that I was just done with AAA, man. Indie games, they were for me moving forward. And I'm not kidding, when I say Axiom Verge is one of the greatest of all time, it really is. It's the perfect example of when a Metroidvania guides you with that invisible hand, you know, just perfect design all throughout. And the story was top notch too. Like, it's very rare with it's very rare for a piece of media to make me feel existential, and that's what Axiom Verge did. Phenomenal must-play Metroidvania. Oh yeah, okay. Man, I'm really fucking up today. Alright, have you ever heard of Odallus the Dark Call? Because this one completely flew under my radar. If you like classic Castlevania, definitely check this one out. This game has Metroidvania elements to it, but it's not a Metroidvania. Like, you collect different abilities and stuff, but there's no interconnected world. You actually have a stage select that you can go back to other levels and find secrets and all that. It's like a linear Castlevania inspired game, but the levels are like self-contained Metroidvania maps, if that makes sense. Is the very definition of a hidden gem, because seriously, barely anyone knows about this game. So I went into it with pretty low expectations at first, and I was just blown away. You see, the beauty of finding a hidden gem is there's no hype, there's no game journalist paid for by big corpos trying to rip you off with a 7 out of 10. It's just an old-fashioned fun experience. So check out Odallus. This game definitely deserves more attention. Gravity Circuit, man. I've been waiting to get to this game. Okay, so I've been playing Mega Man games my entire life. Seriously, since I was able to play video games as a kid, I've been playing the Mega Man games. From Mega Man on the NES to Mega Man X, you know, on the Super Nintendo and the PlayStation 1 and the PS2. I've played the Mega Man Zero games on the GBA. I've played the Battle Network games. I've played Legends. I even played Mega Man X. Motherfucker. I even played Mega Man X Command Mission. Does anybody remember Command Mission? I played the Advent games on the DS. Like, you name it. If it was a Mega Man game, I played it. And the reason why I say all this is because if you're a Mega Man fan, if you're a Mega Man fan and you haven't played Gravity Circuit, just go out and buy it. From a biased Mega Man fan perspective, I consider this game perfect. Flawless. Yes, I'm going there. I don't care what anybody says. This game is absolutely perfect to me. I love the level design. I love all the ability chips that you can collect. I love the platforming, the boss fights, the expressive character portraits, the color palette, the art style. Every inch of this game feels like it was specifically made for me. And if you watched my last few videos, you probably gathered that much. Because they were just straight up me talking about, you know, whatever I was talking about with Gravity Circuit playing in the background. And I got so many comments asking me what game I was playing in those videos, which really made me happy. Sure, I'm not going into much depth and detail about this, it's just me glazing and gushing the game, but I really don't know what else to say outside of this is like the perfect fantasy game for any Mega Man fan. And once you play it for yourself, like, you'll realize exactly what I mean. Okay, so I've been playing did I really just fucking copy and paste another segment in my notes? You see, what I do is I have this what is it? I have this app. It's called Write by Voice app, right? And what I do is I just talk to my phone and then it writes down my text. Like, that's how I write down my scripts. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, like I put this back in my Samsung notes. This is why I have 49 pages of text. I thought it was just because I was talking my ass off, but it's really because I'm fucking copy pasting the same segment over and over again. Oh my god. Let me find this. Son of a bitch. Alright, here we go. So this is actually a perfect segue to go into a few free fan games. Check out Mega Man X Innocent Impulse. This game, it's just a demo. Motherfucker. Check out Mega Man X Innocent Impulse. This game is just a demo, but definitely something you should have on your radar. I love how they took Mega Man X and gave it this from the ground up 8-bit graphic style. So far, there's only been a few bosses in the game. So far, there is only a few bosses in the game, but that level design, man, it is so well done. I can't help but to be excited for this game. There's Mega Man Rock and Roll, which I think the fan community considers this like the best Mega Man fan game of all time. And I've been playing it so far. I see what they're talking about. Oh yeah, have you heard of Castlevania Revamped? Literally, check this out. Look. It's Castlevania, the first Castlevania game, but it's a PC remake and they made it into a Metroidvania. Seriously, how damn cool is that? And don't worry, it's smooth to play. It's not clunky or anything like that. And man, I think that's all the games I had to talk about. Besides Metroid Planets, which, dude, you have to check out Metroid Planets. Complete from the ground remake of the original Metroid. I could never get through the original Metroid, and I never had any interest in doing that since we had Metroid Zero Mission. But Metroid Planets, like, this gave me a solid reason to revisit the original. It runs at a solid 60 FPS, the movement and all the animations feel smooth. It's got all types of particle effects that make it feel more modern. It has a map, yeah, an actual map, so you know where the hell you're at. Since I've basically beat Zero Mission like 30, 40 times at this point, it's just refreshing to go back and play the original and experience all those familiar areas, while at the same time not having this clunky, frustrating experience. So shout out to Metroid Planets, man. Absolute banger of a remake. Okay, so now, finally, that's all the games I wanted to talk about today. The NES was just a console I have so much nostalgia for. I know it came out before I was born, but since my family didn't buy consoles every new generation, it was like a hand-me-down console that I grew up with. Playing Duck Hunt, cheating with the gun straight up to the screen, playing Castlevania 1 and having nightmares of bloody bones. The red skeleton enemy. I remember my older sister, she used to tell me that Bloody Bones was hiding under my bed. I was getting my ass absolutely massacred in Mega Man. Being able to play the original Zelda back on the NES as a kid, like, that's crazy to me. That I actually grew up playing the original Zelda on that golden cartridge. Just looking at graphics today and how everything's all hyper realistic and all that, and just thinking I was actually playing games back then when gaming was still a niche, a niche kind of thing. It just blows my mind, man. Having things like a Steam Deck that's 1,000,000 times more powerful than the Game Boy was back in the day, and being able to play those same Game Boy games on that Steam Deck, as well as AAA games, if you wanted to, which I barely want to these days. But yeah, it's just crazy, man. Anyways, that's it for me. I'll catch you in the next video, and I'll try not to be a crazy conspiracy guy, I know my last few videos have been really doom and gloom, with the state of the world and all that. That's why I made that poll and had you guys vote, because it's not just my channel, it's our channel. I'm gonna make a separate channel, probably not here on YouTube, I'll probably do it on Rumble. I'm just gonna keep this channel as gaming focused, because I know that's not what you guys subscribe to my channel for, and I need to respect that moving forward. Anyways, I'll catch you in the next video. Later.